just feels like the tag team championships could be booked better. A lot of this stems from what I call lazy Triple H booking. But I will say, positives from this match, Damien Priest, his presence is growing. What is up, guys? This is the Casual Wrestling Monday Night Raw post show for August 28th, 2023, coming to you every week after Monday Night Raw. I am NerdyD, and you're watching the Casual Wrestling Community YouTube channel. Hit the like and subscribe buttons before you journey with me into my reactions from what we just saw tonight. Let's start off. Let's jump right into the main event. So that's what it's supposed to be. That's it. Triple H, look at what you just did tonight. Look at that formula. Pay attention to what you did. That's it. That's what we've been asking for. Put away whatever notepad you have that has all of these 6-man tag matches. Throw that in the trash. Get rid of that. We're done with that. We don't need any more of that. You did that for the last 6 weeks. That playbook's not working. We need more of this. Becky Lynch, Zoey Stark, Falls Count Anywhere. That's it. That's the ticket. That's what we're looking for. That's the match. That's what a main event is supposed to be. That's what a go-home show is supposed to end like. Now, we can talk about the train wreck that came before that in a minute, but let's talk. We're talking about the main event. That was solid. That was better than solid. That was what Monday Night Raw needed going into Payback. That was it. That was a hell of a match. Zoey Stark showed out. I think Becky Lynch showed out. I think Trish Stratus did what she needed to do by being there. And I think that match had every element that you need to send people home happy. Great finish to the match. Felt like Falls Count Anywhere actually meant something this time. It didn't feel like the typical, Falls Count Anywhere, we'll do this whole match inside the ring. No, they took it outside. They ventured around the arena a little bit, still waiting for when we go back to an Attitude Era style match where we finish the match outside the ring in a bar, on a bridge, some other place that, it's probably a pipe dream, probably never going to get that. But this was pretty damn close. This is what I like to see. A finish in the crowd, on top of some equipment, Zoey accidentally hitting Trish, knocking her into a table. Becky hitting a finisher off the top of that equipment through something. I don't know, was that garbage? Hit her finisher through there. But that's it. That was sent, and then the release of emotion from Becky Lynch was just an added bonus because you can see how much Bray Wyatt meant to her and how much she was holding back performing in that match and how much was locked inside of her. So, we have to understand, right? Bray Wyatt's just somebody we watched on TV, but to these superstars, that was a friend. That wasn't just a coworker, that was a friend. So to see her have that release of emotion at the end of the main event, that was, I think, a fitting send-off for Monday Night Raw post Bray Wyatt. But hell of a match, man. Great finish. There were some good spots in that match. There was a spot where Zoey Stark did a springboard attack where she went over the top rope and landed on top of a chair on top of Becky Lynch, and Becky sold kind of a knee injury. That was a good spot. That looked good. I see a lot of promise in Zoey Stark. I think down the line, Zoey Stark's going to be a big-time player inside of WWE. But then you fast forward a couple minutes later, and not to be outdone, Becky Lynch superplexes Zoey Stark off of the top rope into a pile of chairs. Another big spot, another good spot for Monday Night Raw. This felt big time. This felt like a return to the Becky Lynch that I enjoy watching, because there's times, she did it tonight, where she cut her promo that she feels so formulaic. Sometimes Becky just feels like she's reading out of the Cutting Promo for Dummies playbook, and I don't absolutely love that. But this wasn't that. Tonight's main event was exactly what Monday Night Raw needed, because before that, it was a little bit of a dumpster fire. But only one critique in this match. I think I have one critique, and it's not so much with the match as much as it's what's going to follow this match. That was the send-off. That was it. That's where it should have ended. That was a great finale. Yet we still have one more match at Payback. And you know, correct me if I'm wrong, CWC, but I don't think that there's any way that Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus can outdo what we saw tonight between Becky Lynch and Zoey Stark at Payback. I think this was the pinnacle of that storyline. And now I think we're going to be left with something like, you know, just like a dessert that doesn't hit the spot. I don't know what Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus can do inside a steel cage that's going to excite me the way Becky Lynch and Zoey Stark excited me in a Falls Count Anywhere match at the end of Monday Night Raw. I don't know what that is. Now, there's always the possibility I've gone with the thought line that this isn't the end, and that if Zoey somehow makes her way into the cage, we carry on and we get Hell in a Cell at Fastlane. That's always a possibility. But what I'm talking about tonight is Monday Night Raw, hell of a finish, hell of a main event that probably saved a Monday Night Raw that was absolutely up on fire to this point. Now, I want you guys to stay tuned to the end of the episode. I will be dropping the official Casual Wrestling score for Monday Night Raw. But first, let's talk about the undercard. So we started with what you would expect them to finish with, right? It was Damien Priest and Sami Zayn one-on-one. Absolutely doesn't make sense that Kevin Owens doesn't come out with Sami Zayn. Sami goes out alone. Doesn't make sense that Judgment Day doesn't go out with Damien Priest. They go out alone. Weird booking by Triple H to kind of set this feud up for Payback. But bigger question that I have to ask coming out of Monday Night Raw, noticing crowd reactions, noticing how people kind of react to certain superstars. Question is, has Sami Zayn lost all momentum? Because it wasn't 6 months ago. It wasn't 6 months ago, right before WrestleMania, Sami Zayn was the biggest superstar in all of WWE. He goes on to win tag team titles, and from there, I think it's been a steady decline of momentum for Sami Zayn. That's booking. That's Triple H's fault. I don't particularly get that. I don't understand. I don't know. It just feels like the tag team championships could be booked better. A lot of this stems from what I call lazy Triple H booking. But I will say, positives from this match, Damien Priest, his presence is growing. He just, in his entrance, coming out by himself, he looks like a star. He looks like a guy who could be champion. He looks like a formidable WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I think sooner rather than later, he's cashing in that briefcase, and we will get the visuals of Damien Priest holding the WWE World Championship. But here's my problem. This is my problem with the Judgment Day. This is my problem with a lot of Triple H's booking, right? The Judgment Day need to change their name to Groundhog Day, because every week it is the same exact thing. It's Finn, it's Damien, they're at each other's throats, then they make up, then the next week we just start over and we do it again. It's absolutely redundant. It's lazy booking. But hey, look, instead of a 6-man tag match this week, we just got a pointless match between Damien Priest and Sami Zayn where the tag team champion was pinned in the ring. Kevin Owens was not present to watch Sami Zayn's back. JD got involved. It feels like 12 different storylines splintering. It feels like Triple H doesn't know what to do with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And a bigger point of contingency I have here, does anybody else think that Kevin Owens looks incredibly uninterested in everything that's going on? It feels like to me, Kevin Owens has checked out. There's been this de-evolution of his character. He went from a guy who, when Triple H first took over, looked like he was going to take over the world. I would have bet within those first couple weeks that Kevin Owens was on the path to becoming WWE champion. I would have bet he was the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns. Stop. Sami Zayn gets hot with the bloodline. We kind of pull back on the Kevin Owens show, right? Then, all of a sudden, we devolve Kevin Owens, who's now a tag team champion, into this kind of imbecile of a character who just wants to fight. Just gets mad, just wants to fight. And we run that shtick for about 3 or 4 weeks until that kind of runs its course. And now, Kevin just kind of looks like he's lost in space. He looks like he's just waiting for this tag team run to end. And I hope that it ends at Payback, because I absolutely think that the tag team division is completely bogged down right now by Sami and KO being champion. We got a Miz promo. So the Miz came out dressed as LA Knight. Stole the show. Absolutely stole the show. For anybody who doesn't remember, the Miz is the guy. The Miz, he is him. He's that guy. His impression was spot on. He nailed it. Everything about this was right. And this isn't meant to be a negative towards LA Knight, but I'm starting to worry about the megastar because the Miz has kicked it up to another gear. The Miz isn't just going to let LA Knight take this spot. The Miz is going to show fans, hey, don't forget, when WWE gives me something to work with, I'm top 3 in this company. And I'm convinced of that. I think when the Miz is put in the right situations, he's top 3 in the entire company. That's including Roman. That's including Seth. Go down the list. The Miz is that guy. And so the Miz has kicked it into another gear here. The Miz did LA Knight possibly better than LA Knight does LA Knight. And he cut deep with a couple lines in that promo. A couple lines in that promo where he talked about LA Knight fumbling his words. I've noticed it. I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to talk about it. I don't want to jinx LA Knight. I like the megastar. He's my guy. But the Miz is nice. The Miz is real nice. And we can't forget that. And I think that WWE is using this as a little bit of a test for LA Knight. I think they want to see, can LA Knight stand toe-to-toe with The Miz? Can he climb that hill? Because if he can ascend past it, sure, you can be the megastar. But if you get put into the ring with a microphone against a guy who does this, The Miz does this. This is what The Miz does, and you don't deliver, hey, man, it may be to the back of the line for LA Knight. We got to see the New Day take on the Viking Raiders. This is one of those matches. I kept catching myself going to my phone during this match. And it's not that it was a bad match, possibly a little bit too long for my taste, especially for a match that has absolutely no emotional connection. I don't know why I'm supposed to care what's going on between the Viking Raiders, Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, the New Day, when there's absolutely no path to the tag team titles in the near future for these guys, right? As long as those titles are held up by KO and Sami, all of this is just consolation fighting to take up the 3 hours that Monday Night Raw is. And like I said, I catch myself going to my phone, scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through some games, looking for something to do. And it's not meant to be disrespectful. That was just a long, long match. And it was a long match that ended in chaos with Drew McIntyre hitting Xavier Woods with a chair that goes completely ignored by the referee. No DQ finish. The Viking Raiders get the win. Just absolutely a lot of this stuff is kind of insulting to a fan's intelligence. But it's obvious, right? It's obvious what's happening here. This is, WWE looked at what Riddle was available for. They saw Drew McIntyre sitting around. They said, hey, you remember that thing we did with Randy Orton and Riddle and how well that worked and how much the fans liked it? Go grab that playbook and bring it back over here. Let's just do that again. And so obviously they like to do this thing where they pair Riddle with these just strange partners that shouldn't work, but because of Riddle's comedy ability, he makes them work. He gets the team over. I think what they're doing here is obviously building towards the big breakup, right? This is a heel turn for Drew McIntyre. That's all this entire clusterfuck that's going on. This is absolutely a heel turn for Drew McIntyre. That's what this is building to. They are going to build this into a lovable tag team so that, unlike Randy Orton was able to do, Drew McIntyre will at some point be able to turn on Matt Riddle and begin his villain arc. We got a Bray Wyatt tribute. Those things still hurt, man. I don't want to talk about that. Those are hard to watch for me. It's hard to watch. 36 years old, I think. Was that how old he was? Now we're finding out he died of a heart attack in his sleep. Yeah, I know it's necessary, but just being reminded of that is hard. It's hard because it is sad. From there, we went to Gunther. We got Gunther's promo where he stood on top of the table and did the Gunther thing, and that led into Gable versus Ludwig. That was interesting. That was an interesting match. I think that this is starting to feel a little bit like the 6-man tag matches where it always feels like Ludwig is this break in case of an emergency, right? We need to prolong the story, put Ludwig in the ring. And I just absolutely think Ludwig is too good for that. He's too good to be used as a pawn inside of every Gunther story. Now, I know we're probably coming up to the end of this Intercontinental reign, which I think will free up Imperium a little bit to get involved in some other things that aren't Gunther related. But I found it interesting. I didn't know just off the top of my head that in like the 500 days that Gunther's been in the main roster, he hasn't lost. I don't think that's been beaten into my head. When WWE tends to beat things into people's head, I don't think I ever realized that he just hadn't lost. And so that makes that Gable victory seem a little more important now, even if it was weirdly in a title match. And Gunther went on to explain that away. But, there's a reason. Look, and we're not going to talk much about the Gable versus Ludwig match. That's standard go-home stuff to set up Gunther versus Gable. And I saw the internet immediately react to the fact that Gunther versus Gable is on Monday Night Raw and not on Payback. There's a simple explanation for that. This isn't the end of the story, or Gable's not winning that match. It's one of two. They're not putting that on Payback because they know the implications of this match is going to either continue the story or it's not going to make the Gable fans happy because Gable isn't the guy who's going to take out the Intercontinental Champion. Now, could this story continue on? Sure. Probably Fastlane makes sense. I have some theories about John Cena I'll talk about on this week's Casual Wrestling Podcast, so we'll kind of leave it at that. So we got Rollins and Shinsuke. We got Rollins cutting the typical Seth Rollins promo. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me, but Seth Rollins is stale. I think at this point it's the same thing. It's just redundant. Monday Night Raw already kind of feels cyclical, like everything is just happening over and over. The only thing that was missing tonight was a Cody Rhodes promo. That's it. That was the only thing missing to make it just the classic standard 2023 Monday Night Raw format was a Cody Rhodes promo, but instead we got a Seth Rollins one, and once again it's the same thing. It's the get the crowd singing, it's the stand in the ring, it's the long kind of drawn out speech. Now he shortened it up this week, which was good, but still just felt stale to me. Glad that Shinsuke came out and attacked him. I think that they're doing a good job of creating a very different version of Shinsuke Nakamura than what most fans are used to in WWE. This heel version of Shinsuke is working. I like it. It's effective. I think he got a reaction. The crowd definitely booed him. The crowd was definitely not happy. And if there's one guy you can attack to get a reaction, it's probably Seth Rollins. So I like it. But this is Shinsuke's time, right? This is it. We got to get the belt off of Seth Rollins. It's time to see a Shinsuke Nakamura title run so that the IWC can shut the fuck up. They can either see this either works or you guys are wrong all along, but let's do it. Put the belt on him. He makes a hell of a transitional champion because that's all he's going to be. He's going to transition into Damien Priest, but let's see what he does in the 3 to 4 months that he's able to hold the title. One cool thing, one shout out I'll give to Seth Rollins is I liked the little nod to Bray Wyatt by having, I don't know if anybody noticed, he had a Bray Wyatt side plate on the World Heavyweight title. I don't know if that's something he did just for tonight or if he'll continue that through his title reign, but that's a neat little touch. And when I say I don't like Seth Rollins, this is strictly a wrestling thing. I have no problem with Seth Rollins the person. I don't like this character, that's what wrestling is, right? We got Champa versus Bronson Reed. This wasn't a bad match by any standards, but it's just, once again, it was another one of those matches that I look at and I go, why am I supposed to care about that? Like, what is that? Good, good talent in the ring. They put on a pretty good match. There was a spot where Champa went over the ropes and hit his head on the steel stairs, and I winced a little bit. But why? What am I supposed to care about this for? You're not. 1 week, Tommaso Ciampa's out looking for Johnny Gargano. The next week, he's back in the ring with Bronson Reed again, and you're not explaining to me why. You're not giving me emotional connection, especially to a guy who's in my top 5 personal favorites. I like Tommaso Ciampa. I should be over the fucking moon that he just beat the monster Bronson Reed. Instead, I'm just kind of confused. Like, okay, so I think we're starting a Tommaso Ciampa push, but are we now all of a sudden is Bronson Reed on a slide? Because I mean, the last couple weeks, Bronson Reed's been booked to look just normal for a guy who is not normal, for a guy who should be a monster, for a guy who should not be taking the bumps that he takes in the ring. He might have taken more bumps in that match than Tommaso Ciampa. That doesn't make sense. You have to protect guys like Bronson Reed. And they definitely didn't protect him tonight. So I don't know. The start and stop pushes of Triple H, they don't make sense to me. They don't make sense to me unless you start to realize that it's the IWC's fault, because the IWC continues to bitch. And I know Triple H is one of those guys. He's got his ear to the IWC. While he won't admit that like he books based on what they're bitching and complaining about, he definitely hears what they say. And the IWC bitches about, we don't want short title runs. We need long title runs. It doesn't mean anything. Well, fuck you guys. It's fun to see the title bounce around, right? Or the IWC runs around and goes, there's too many title belts. There shouldn't be so many title belts. With 5 hours of wrestling every week, there has to be more than 5 available titles for 50 plus deserving superstars. We're speaking males right now, right? You've got the World Heavyweight, you've got the WWE title, Intercontinental, United States Championship, and you've got a set of tag team titles. And that's it. And one of those is never leaving Roman Reigns. So you can obviously count that out, because at least until March, that's not changing. So you want to be brutal. There's three real singles championships inside of WWE. World Heavyweight Championship, Intercontinental Championship, United States Championship. That's it. That is what is available for guys to win, and that is what's available to give guys purpose. And right now, Gunther has one, so that's kind of locked up. You just had a title change on the United States Championship, so that's locked up. So there's not a lot of possibility for guys. Like, what does Tommaso go after? What does Bronson go after? The answer to that is they need more titles. Why does it hurt to have more titles? It helps merchandise. It helps premium live events when you can put more titles on the card. Who gives a fuck if for a couple weeks everybody complains that you have too many titles? Hey, WWE, it wouldn't hurt to have a European championship. It wouldn't hurt to have a hardcore championship, and it wouldn't hurt to have a light heavyweight championship for guys like Chad Gable. It just would make sense. Lastly, we got Rhea Ripley cutting a promo on Raquel Rodriguez. Standard go-home shit, right? Standard go-home procedure. Rhea Ripley coming out, talking. The babyface comes out to get a pop, to get one up on the heel going into a premium live event. All pretty formulaic. I think, the story has always been trying to sell that Rhea Ripley's power is just not beneficial against Raquel Rodriguez. And that's working. It seems to be a story that's catching on. Raquel, though, had a line in the promo she dropped earlier in the night where she said something to the effect of like, Rhea's got to stop using her size and strength as an advantage against opponents. What's she supposed to do, Raquel? Wrestle on her fucking knees? Like, that's not realistic. That was a bad promo. But it looks like Raquel got the rub in this segment, which, means I would bet the house Rhea retains at Payback. I would have probably bet the house before that, but I think this just strengthens my position going into Payback. I hope that Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez deliver. Rhea needs a rival. She needs somebody who can appear to be on her level to give her legitimacy to this title run, because up until now, this title run has been underwhelming, and it's not Rhea Ripley's fault. It's the talent around her. It's the competition. So I think Raquel Rodriguez seems like the perfect babyface to be a part of Rhea's heel run. It absolutely makes sense. So here in the casual community, we like to recognize the matches in WWE that stood out just a little bit above the rest. So each and every week, we give out our casual awards for Match of the Night and Superstar of the Night. Match of the Night for Monday Night Raw, Zoey Stark versus Becky Lynch. That's what a main event has to be. And it hasn't been for the last couple weeks. The last couple of weeks, if I was giving out this award, it would not have gone to your main event. So it's kind of refreshing that tonight the main event was the show stealer. The main event was the big, it was the grand finale of fireworks. And that was the case. That I can tell you, it absolutely saved a below mediocre go home show for Triple H, because up until that main event, that was not looking good. Superstar of the night is going to go to The Miz. That promo was fire, man. I said it earlier. I'm going to say it again. The Miz has me second guessing LA Knight. There's a part of me that lost just a little bit of love for LA Knight because some of the things The Miz said were very true. LA Knight has been fumbling his words a little bit lately. And so he's going to have to step up. He's going to have to, he's going to have to pass the finish line on this one. But I thought The Miz absolutely stole the show on Monday Night Raw. Definitely Superstar of the Night. And finally, as we promised you, a casual wrestling score for tonight's Monday Night Raw. Here at the casual community, we have created a balanced 5-point rating system to ensure that all wrestling content is rated in a casual and cool system. With that being 5, an amazing show, 4, a great show, 3, an okay show, 2, a bad show, and 1, a terrible show. So tonight's Monday Night Raw, saved by the main event. Up until the main event, this was a low 2. To be real honest with you, this was like a 2.2, which I round down to a 2. This was a bad Monday Night Raw, saved by a very good main event, which boosted it up in my book to a 2.99999, which I'm going to give a 3. And I'm going to say that tonight's Monday Night Raw on the casual wrestling scale was an okay Monday Night Raw. Barely okay. Skin of the teeth. Okay Monday Night Raw. It was a dumpster fire up until that final main event. So sometimes WWE is nice enough to let us know what is going on next week, what to expect on the following episode of Monday Night Raw. This is a casual preview of what to expect on next week's show. They didn't give us a lot this week. They let us know that the IC title match between Gunther and Gable will be next week. I said it earlier. I'm going to say it again. That's strictly because this isn't a big deal. This is not Payback worthy. The title's not changing. There's not going to be some big epic twist that we don't see coming. I think that this is more of the usual. The story either continues on or Gable's not the guy. Drew McIntyre and Riddle versus the Viking Raiders. Hopefully this opens up a little bit of clarity after Payback, knowing the direction that the tag team titles are going to go in. Either the Judgment Day leaves there with gold on everybody, or Sami and KO continue this lackluster title run. Either way, I'm hoping that it leads to just more parity inside of the tag team division. It leads to opportunities for the New Day, opportunities for the Viking Raiders, the Street Profits, Drew and Riddle. But ultimately, I think this is setting up a Drew McIntyre heel turn. Well, there you have it. That is the Casual Wrestling Monday Night Raw post show for the week. Make sure to check out the Casual Wrestling Podcast on Wednesdays here on YouTube. The SmackDown post show every Friday night after SmackDown. And starting next week, the Champ and the Chick Wrestling show every Monday afternoon. Do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. And let me know what you thought of Monday Night Raw in the comments. Until next time, stay casual. I'm tapping out.